we'll just keep working our way around the part, just kind of cleaning things up and adding detail as necessary. So I'll right-click and edit this part right here in context, drag this face on out to make it a little bit wider, and it looks like we need a little bit of a bulge here just to make room for this, this kind of bolt thing sticking through. So let's select this guy and create a sketch on that face. I'm going to zoom into it some. I'll create a circle, and I'm going to snap it to the center of this other circle, keeping in mind, of course, though, that I have my No External References box checked. So it's not actually going to create any references to external geometry. It's just going to snap there nice and conveniently. Now I can take this outer edge, though, and reference it to my existing model, which is my, my current bracket model, and make those concentric, just so that I know that that's going to always stay right where I need it. And then do a Features, Extruded Boss, rotate around here. I don't want to come out very far. In fact, I want this really shallow. And then I will turn on that draft again, and I'm going to make it really extreme, like 60 degrees. Hit OK. Now we have a little bulge there to make room. And that looks kind of mechanical. That's fine. And then we'll mirror that across. So I'm going to grab my mirror tool in the Features toolbar. I'll drop down this list. Let's grab inside my neck bracket. We'll grab the right plane. And importantly, we're not grabbing the right plane from anything else. We're just grabbing it from the current active part. And under Features to Mirror, we'll grab that Boss Extrude and hit OK. So now we have that on both sides. Perfect. So let's just fillet this guy. I'm going to fillet these edges by 2 millimeters, as I've been doing on most other things. And that's actually looking pretty big. Maybe I'll set that to 1. That looks a little bit better. And hit OK. Now, one thing you're going to find is that fillets on very shallow angles like these tend to need to be a lot bigger. So if I grab my fillet tool and click on this face, my 1 millimeter fillet looks really tiny. So in order to be able to see it, I may need to crank it up a little bit, say to maybe 5 millimeters. That looks a little bit better. So I'll get that one, and then I'm going to get this one on this side as well. Hit OK. Now those guys are rounded off all nice and shiny and neat. That looks good. Let's right-click on this bracket up here, edit that part as well. Come back here. Let's get a little bit of detail into this guy. Okay, now this time, instead of the fillet tool, let's head up to our fillet tool and drop it down, and we have a chamfer tool. Chamfer tool is basically like a fillet, so I could click this face, and it'll do both sides of it just like a fillet would. And I'll set this down to, say, 1 millimeter. But instead of rounding it off, it's going to kind of file it off at an angle. So we get this perfect little chiseled edge right around there, which I think can look pretty darn cool. We'll set this to like maybe 1.5 millimeters and hit OK. So we have this nice little highlight edge. Chamfers are cool visually because they catch highlights in really interesting ways. And if we want to really tighten that up for whatever reason, say we're going to render this at super high resolution, you can still take a fillet at a constant radius, and then hit those edges with a very tiny fillet, like say a 0.5 millimeter fillet on either side. And this is overkill in most cases, by the way, but it can look really nice if you're going to render at really high resolutions. Those things do start to matter. So we'll take these edges in here. Actually, I'll just grab this whole face on the inside, both of those. And we could set those to 1 millimeter for sure. Hit OK. And then finally, we'll get this last stuff down here at the bottom. Why don't we grab our fillet tool, and that edge, and this face right here. We'll get all of that stuff. Might even take, no, not that edge. There we go. All right, that looks good. All right, that stuff's starting to look really tight. Let's move down and finish up this base.